started on that.
Henneke already called it.
That was a weird announcement today.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Pretty upset about that,
Dang.
honestly.
Yeah. Let's focus on a positive. We've had a awesome week. Like the
the cards are sweet. Like,
Yeah.
the
The
cards
cards
are freaking awesome.
The seasonal went pretty well for a couple of us.
For like the team, even though not everyone made it, it like went well for the team.
We smurfed that tournament. It was insane.
Yeah.
Like there was heartbreaks. Like what am I missing on breakers? When I think what happened was a statistical anomaly. Like we still crushed it a lot.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Literally every other seasonal, I think from every other region, top 40 has been enough every time. So
including
I
this
stopped
one,
at top
like,
40.
the
And
top
it was
40
like,
worked.
by the way,
Yeah.
it's top 30 this time. Fuck all y'all. Like, what? Hello?
It's crazy. Everybody's like
Insane.
in the top 30 smurfed like the seasonal. They all went 7-2. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I would have
It was nuts.
bet money that your spot was super safe.
Nick, and other people, we did get news for Worlds. So originally, Worlds was announced to be September 15th through the 20th. So essentially, like Wednesday through Sunday. Oh, the 19th, 15th through the 19th. Wednesday through Sunday, and we're like, oh damn, that's kind of ridiculous. And then today,
today,
they announced that all of a sudden, shocker, the first round of Worlds is on the 4th.
Yeah.
Not the 15th. And it's not even on the 15th now. Now it's
so
like
most of the competition, like clearly not like the super high level competition that everybody wants to see, where actually like the regions are fighting each other, but most of the competition for Worlds is going to happen on the 4th and the 5th when they hadn't told anybody about this.
We knew that we were going to be called down to 16 players from 256, right? So, but we all assumed that it was a process from the 15th, I think, through like the 19th. So like some people play and then people qualify, make the top 16. We know it's 6 from Americas and 5 from the other 2 regions. So I'm not even sure we knew that, but like
we did. Yeah, we knew it was going to be 6 from Americas, 5 from EU, and 5 split of the other 2.
But yeah, new cars are coming out next weekend. We'll have a week and
we have a week and a half. A week. It's 9 days from the new set coming out to the day before we have to register. Like from the set coming out to the 3rd, the day before the tournament starts is 9 days with a new region.
I mean,
Everyone just has to split up. Like everyone just grabs a champion, reports if it's good or not.
We have our
every
giant
single
Excel
region.
sheet of like all the decks, and we're just like, okay, won this matchup.
There's 9
lost
region
twice.
combos and
This is
9 new
good.
days, so you just pick one for each day and just go at it.
Worlds isn't going to be on the Bandle patch. Oh, you bet your sweet ass it
definitely
is.
It is. Like we have to
sign
put the new
things
cards,
over the 4 months.
which I think that's exciting for
Yes,
viewers.
it is
Like,
exciting.
my-
It is. It would be not as good of a spectator event if it wasn't, right?
I don't mind that it's so close to release. Like it just put a shine on competitors where they can like improve and make like new crazy decks, and they can find it because there's gonna be item text at Worlds. Like I guarantee it. Some people will show up with something that nobody, like only that team thought of, and that deck is crazy good and it performs super well.
I was talking to my roommate about that. I was like, like the exciting part is that if you crack the format, you're gonna crush, right?
And it's still gonna be hidden. The worst part is not like we have to play with new cards. The worst part is like we have jobs, we have things. Like I don't know. Like you tell me that now it's the 4th and 5th, and like I need to take off if I qualify. I need to do everything, and it's super short notice. And then we have to play the week after. Like, granted, it's like a good problem to have to play in that big of a tournament, but I just feel it's way too short notice for it to not be like almost scummy.
I'm actually probably the voice of dissent on that one, because I love that it's happening right after a patch, because I'm the crazy brewer guy who wants everything to be like no one knows any idea what's going on and it's all busted. But as far as the we also have jobs thing, the part where they're deciding to put this in the middle of the weekday definitely rubbed me the wrong way a little.
Like I'm lucky. Like this is what I do now, so I can make that work. But like even I have a family vacation the next weekend. That the only reason it wasn't that weekend was just like a whim. Like the only reason it wasn't during the 4th and the 5th was because I just decided, oh, let's just push it back a week.
Yeah.
Like, and I have to like cancel flights and stuff. because they just decided not to tell anybody for a really long time. Oh, Jason might be in here.
Jason,
Hi, Jason.
Are you gonna show up? Are you gonna be here?
Oh, is he in chat?
Yeah, he just put. Oh.
We need our overlord to guide us.
Yeah, but I do think that like it will be nice to have mostly like us, right? Like a team to be like,
Yes.
let's figure this shit out,
Very,
right?
very
Like
useful.
I'm very much looking forward to that. Like that kind of stuff gives people who have a network like a huge advantage, which sucks if you don't like know a lot of the players. But if you have like good relationships with a lot of the players, you have like a pretty big leg up, I feel like.
Sure, but I think one of the big questions that, both us and a lot of people are going to have to ask are, how much effort are you putting into secrecy, right? Because a bunch of us stream.
Yeah.
I'm not streaming as much, but Majin streams literally all the time.
I stream and I make YouTube every day. Yeah, like how much can I really hide what I do, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
And even beyond streaming, right? The way it's set up, if we were doing anything other than in-house scrims, Runeterra AR might even get in-house scrims at this point, unless they're on Smurfs.
I mean, just lock your account, but yeah.
And ladder definitely picks up anything you play there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's definitely an advantage to having the teams to try to break things, but I think if you break something and the break is worth it, it has to be more than just one deck. Because if we find the one deck that's better than everything else, I don't think it's realistic that we're going to be able to keep that secret for a week.
No, probably not. But like, I bet you could keep it better than you think.
Maybe.
Yeah, just to be careful to not get into like
Felios all over again.
Yeah, I mean let's say there is something like a Felios, right? That's like nuts, or like TF is. We have to find it first. We're not starting off day one playing the nuts, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's say 5 days in, we like crack it. Well, then we have to like tune it, because the difference between a good TF list and the TF list we ended up with are so different.
But that's kind of my point. It's gonna take, if we can, then it's gonna take us a while to do it, and a lot of that testing, at least for me, ends up being on ladder.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Unless I'm just
it's gonna be streamed.
dropping ladder, then it gets out there, right?
Yep.
Hey,
I agree.
Jason.
Yo, what's up, man?
Oh, he's here. Hold on, I can't hear him yet.
We have acquired an additional Jason.
We found one.
Hey guys, what's everybody doing?
Starting a podcast.
There's this podcast thing that you.
There's a podcast?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Right?
Who put this together?
It's gonna be great. Who put this
Just
together?
watching.
Yeah, it's probably me. I'm full of good ideas.
Put the link in chat.
Hold on. Let's see.
Majin sus.
Majin sus. You're not showing up. Hold on.
Well, while he may be Majin sus forever, soon he will no longer be Majin bench, and that is what
Yeah,
matters.
we get to unbench the Bay. That's tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Brazil League?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it still 4? Is it confirmed 4?
Who organizes
can
that?
figure that out
It's
offline.
you. It's you. You organize that.
Also me.
Are we talking about top 32 later?
we're
We will
waiting
be talking
for
about it, don't worry. Yeah, we'll probably like steer the conference. That is one thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about like how open rounds went for us, what anybody would have done differently if they had to do it again, that kind of stuff. Because I know open rounds was maybe a little less for like Kever and Haneke, but like it was a bit rocky for me.
Hey.
I had to like get lucky a few times for sure.
How crazy is it that in the same like practice group, there's only 2-9-0 in the whole
The
tournament?
only 2-9-0 is pretty crazy, dude. Pretty crazy.
Swerve that hard
Mm-hmm.
and then get crushed. in the 32.
I'm a little salty that I didn't make it, but we did all right as a team.
Yeah. Yeah. You were so. I cannot believe you didn't make the cut. I cannot believe it.
Yeah,
It's
I was heartbroken
I'm
for
letting
you.
it go. I'm a little.
Okay.
I'm a little
Well,
salty.
I'm not
about
going
it.
to. I'm gonna stay upset for you. The good news is that you have Worlds to look forward to, right? So it's
All right, thanks, bro.
Oh.
Yes. I don't feel bad for him anymore. I just feel bad for me now.
Sorry, but
All right, so that actually sounds like a great place to start. You wanna kick it off, Majin? How'd seasonals go?
yeah, rough. I uploaded my full VODs to YouTube, so like anyone can go watch the matches. Exclamation mark YouTube in chat. Always be plugging. But how did I qualify for Worlds? I won seasonals. But so I had the open rounds, and I brought Deep, I brought Zoe Lee, and I brought Turbo Thralls because I really wanted to beat up on the mid-rangey decks. I wanted to beat up on like the TF Swains, the Plunders, the S Dravens, and I was up against. I was like, if anyone brings a Nivea, which I expected to like have a bit of a showing, I could not lose. Like it would have been really tough to squeeze in a Nivea through my lineup. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like plug this lineup and just be like, well, I think I tweeted out a picture of my lineup with the caption "aggro isn't real, it can't hurt me." And then the first round was triple aggro, and I was like, never mind, it's real.
Did you face it like 3 times over the day?
I think it was like it was like 3 or 4 times. I had at least 2 aggro decks in the lineup I had to play against.
Yeah.
I played
aggro is real, but it can't hurt you.
But it can't hurt me. Yeah, I ended up like Lee was an all-star. Like Lee was unstoppable. It was just insane. It was like, oh, this deck's really good, and I can ban Aurelia Azir, so like, what are you gonna do about it? And then Deep was really good too. I had some rough Deep draws earlier in the day, but then I had like the more normal ones where it's like Deep on 7 draws, where I just got to like go deep with Bone Skewer and like play Nautilus and just be like, do something. And that was really good. But Turbo Thralls was dog shit all day, man. It was the least Turbo Thralls like I've ever seen in my life. I think the average turn I got out my first 8-8 was like turn 8 or 9. It was like really bad.
Can I just say that I tried to warn you about that deck?
Yeah,
like,
you
did. You said, yeah, we were talking about like 12%, and I was like, that seems pretty high. But like, I would get a Thrall on turn 1, Frozen Thrall on turn 1, and I would get my 8-8 on turn 9. It was horrible. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, I never drew a Thrall until turn 6. It was like, I just never did anything with them. I would have like 4, and they'd just sit there on board forever. And yeah, it was
nice marks.
It was really rough. I did obviously make it through, right? Like, I did make it to the 7 and 2. I lost to like the Esdraven Plunder TF Swain lineup that I expected to crush. I ended up playing against it a second time and won. But like, yeah, I just got like O2'd on Turbo Thralls, and I was like, I'm never bringing this shit again. So normally, I talk about this a lot. I am a big fan of bringing like the really powerful decks that don't lose to themselves, and then just trying to like beat people that way. Letting like the deck carry most of the weight, and then my like knowledge and skill kind of carry that last bit. But I decided to mix it up and go for a more like targeting style lineup, and I really regretted it. Like I made it, but I got pretty lucky.
We've learned that trying to like you said, target things with like weirdly powered deck is in the seasonal is very sketchy. Like it might be a good example of that too. But yeah, like Turbo Trolls was not a good showing. Like it does not make me feel like I want to bring it. But then again, like top 32, it's different.
It is different. Yeah, I think the metagaming aspect is more important in top 32. Like when the field gets better and the field gets smaller, then like gaining the advantage with what you're bringing is much more important.
And I'll jump off of something that Majin said in his, just do a quick seasonal recap on my end too. The biggest reason that I didn't bring a Nivea, even though I had brought it to a couple tournaments that had done really well for me, is exactly what Majin said. There's decks and even lineups where showing up with a Nivea, you can't win. Like you show up with a Nivea and it's like, oh, I guess I've lost. Why am I playing this game again? And it's a really, really powerful deck, and it's weird to call it polarizing because it's a control deck, and we don't usually think of control decks as polarized. But Anivia might be, statistically speaking, one of the most polarized decks literally ever. And I didn't want to show up to seasonals with decks that had matchups like that, because I always wanted to be able to find ways to steal wins. And on one hand, that worked out pretty well most of the time. And on the other hand, I had a heartbreak loss against Raptor where he stole both of my atrocities to kill me with his nab deck. So maybe I should have brought Anivia.
When you said that in the group chat, I lost my mind. Like you lost.
It's really unfortunate, but it's really funny.
It was a fun moment. And he didn't even make top 32. He did that to me, and then he misses top 32. That's rude. That is rude.
Thank God, I can't handle Raptor in top 32.
Yeah, again.
I can.
Yeah, we both had to play against him just the once, right?
All right. What about you, Mr. Kever?
Oh, do you want to wrap up with like most people in chat probably don't know what happened after, like how you finished.
Oh goodness, sure. I finished 7-2. And all of the other seasonals, top 40 has been solid to get in at 7-2, and y'all know I really don't like ladder. It's not my thing.
What was your lineup? I don't think you might have mentioned
lineup was the Zoe Vi Leona, the crazy mishmash invoke deck, the Asol Thresh, and then the TF Viego. So it's three like powerful mid-range control decks that have good ways to steal wins. They just have atrocities and burn all over the place, which is neat. I like atrocitying people. It's a good time. And at the very end, the tiebreaks actually cut to top 30. So it wasn't even that I just missed it. From a position I thought was solid, it was me and I think 5 other people missed it in top 40, which was unreal. Wow. But that's math sometimes, you know? So sometimes the breakers don't go your way.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, if I jump in there, like mine went pretty well.
Went all right.
It was awesome. Through today, just like jumping in the chat and chatting with Aniki and you, what am I, and Jason a little bit. It was good. The lineup performed pretty well. I played something similar to you, Imagine. I played Lee Sin. I've played the Sivir Demacia deck, where honestly it was not in my lineup. And at that point, the deck started getting popular only 2 days before that. So it started getting popular on like Thursday before seasonal, right? And I had almost no reps on it, but I did play a lot of Sivir Ionia.
Yeah.
And Z Turtle, shout out to him, gave me a very, very, very good list. And I just trusted it. And I swapped a deck that I didn't like in my lineup at the last second for it. It worked out very well. And my third deck was Viego Ionia. And basically, I just tried to farm Plunder. I expect Plunder in very high numbers. I faced it 4, maybe 5, I think 4 times. I was very happy to play against any aggro because all of my deck were at least a little bit soft tech against aggro. So in my Viego Ionia, instead of playing 2 Shadow Assassin and 2 Faithfolk, I was playing 3 Faithfolk and 1 Shadow Assassin. And just little things like that where I'm comfortable against aggressive strategies. Most of the time, I just ban the elusive deck, which just crushes all of my deck, and then I am happy. And those are just all 3 powerful decks. Like maybe Viego Ionia is a little bit of a weird one in there, but it did exactly what I wanted it to do in a matchup spread where I wanted it. I farmed the plunders, and then it can also still win. It's an atrocity deck, right? Yeah, it went pretty well. I'm not sure I would change anything. I mean to change things going into top 32, I think. It's just too predictable and maybe too targetable. But it went pretty well, and I can't complain there.
All right, want to jump over to the Jasons?
I'll go because I don't want to end on me because I had the worst experience of my entire life. I brought Lurk, Azir and Sivir Auction, and similar to the lines of Majin, where I wanted to believe that aggro just wasn't real. That was probably the biggest understatement I've ever made. In the first 4 rounds, I played against 4 aggro lineups, and I went 2-2. And I was just like, all right, I'm somewhat done. And that honestly kind of surprised me a little bit. It probably shouldn't have surprised me as much as it did. But where I think the disconnect is although a deck like Luluzed was super popular, super good on ladder, it wasn't very represented in the tournament from the week prior, even though it's been around for like a few weeks. So I was just like, okay, maybe there's not going to be that many aggro decks. And I just kind of dodged that, try to beat Azir, try to like go even to Plunders, beat some other smaller lineups. But I think where I ultimately went wrong, even though I was like super weak into aggro and I faced a lot of aggro, was I don't think that even some of my better matchups, I think that they weren't even that great. I think overall my lineup didn't make as much sense as I initially thought it did. And I think I got a little bit of unluckiness mixed into the mix. Like I missed Lurk like turn 1 like 3 times. And things just didn't really go my way. So kind of unfortunate. Didn't qualify. Probably most likely miss Worlds. But I'm moving, so I guess I would have missed it either ways. On to the other Jason.
Yeah, so we can end on me. I also had like a somewhat disappointing seasonals, though. I ended up being 6-3. I played Lee Sin Zoe, Easy Karma, and Anivia. I originally had Aurelia Azir in place of Anivia, but I felt like if I went up against triple aggro, like I just like Aurelia Azir just kind of gets trumped. You just like lose. Like those matchups are pretty tough. Yet again, I ran to barely any aggro. I think there was one aggro lineup that I stomped on, and other than that, I just didn't see it at all. It's funny, like I think it's really good to do these recaps. Today in our like learning call, I went over the match that I played against Deech that I lost, and I made some like really bad punts, or like one really bad punt and like a couple misplays on the end of another game. But like my thinking was that the game was like I just like played terribly the whole game, and it turns out like I played the game pretty well until like turn 8 or 9 or something, 7, 8, 9. And then also thinking about my lineup and thinking about how the tournament went as a whole, I was like, yeah, I was pretty unhappy, obviously, with my results, and so I was like, oh, my lineup was bad. Like I should have done something different. But like looking back at it, I lost to Deech. He was on Easy Draven, TF Swain, Plunder, which is like kind of what what I wanted, right? Like Easy Draven's supposed to be a good matchup for like all 3 decks. There's definitely like 2 out of 3 of those are good matchups for the other 2 kind of thing. And so like, okay, like I played bad and I got punished. I lost. One round I played against like the nightmare lineup that I didn't want to see. That was Aurelia Azir, Demacia Sivir, and what was the third deck? Aurelia Azir, Demacia Sivir. Something else that's really bad for me. I can't remember off the top. No. I forgot. Shoot. But it's anyway, like another popular deck that it's just like all 3 of them are pretty much bad for like all of my decks. And I ended up losing that one. Like, okay. And then the third one, I actually can't remember I think again I lost to Easy Draven where they had like triple tri-beam on 6. I like denied they tri-beam on 6. I was like, okay. They tri-beam on 6 again, I was like, deny it. And they're like same turn, tri-beam on 6 again. And I was like, oh, I guess I lose. It's like that happens, and again I didn't play particularly well in that round, so like okay, I like played poorly and I got punished in a couple of rounds that were tight, and then I lost one round to like a really bad matchup. So Anivia actually did pretty well for me. It either got banned or it won. It never got farmed. So I mean I got kind of lucky maybe that I missed those lineups, like Majins that would have farmed me. And so, like, the takeaways that I have from it was like, what would I do differently? One of the big problems that I had, again, somehow, even though I put aside a bunch of time to like test and stuff, is that I still just didn't have a bunch of decks that I was comfortable playing. I was pretty much forced into like two of 3 of those decks. There's like maybe 5 decks total that I could have like sort of chosen from.
Just because you
so there wasn't like, yeah, because I could actually play them. To some level of competency, even though like looking back, I was like, man, I still need to put more reps in. Like, for instance, like Easy Draven was supposed to be a really good matchup for all my decks, but I didn't play it that much. So, you know, I get into some complicated situations later in the game and like you make a mistake, you lose. It's like, you know, there's not a lot of room for error in a lot of these matchups. So yeah.
That's something that's worth pausing and thinking about for a minute, because this is something a lot of people miss in their testing that I'm just going to harp on here real quick, just for, you know, wider viewer audience, right? Just because you know that something is a good matchup statistically does not mean you shouldn't be playing it. A lot of these good matchups are good assuming both players are playing the deck really well. And if you don't know how to play the matchup, or if you're not like
equally
super
poorly
there with all the intricacies of it, it's really easy to make those punts, right? That this isn't me bagging on Jason, but like I've seen a lot of people do this. So just because you know something is a good matchup, that's a reason to test it more, because that's what you're trying to hit.
It kind of harkens back to that concept we were talking about before, where you don't want to prep your deck to possibly win the unwinnables. You want to prep your deck to beat the ones you're good into more. So like it's the same thing for you, right? Like you want to strive to make the 55s 65s, not the 25s 35s.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly well said.
Totally. And so yeah, some takeaways are definitely I want to at the beginning of the season I want to be playing a lot more decks to try and get like a really good base. So just trying just everything, all the champions. If they seem like they suck, just all kinds of stuff. You know, that first week or two, just throw stuff at the wall. Still had like problems where I was like trying to do ladder and then trying to scrim, and like scrimming was I don't know, didn't like felt like a lot of work, which you need to do, but you know, just like loading up against some person and being like, well, there's a million different lineups that there could be out there, like is this testing really helping me that much? And then like trying to be like game face on, gonna take like an hour plus to like play these matches. It's a lot of work, it's really daunting. But that's like the work you have to do, especially when you're like, look at the decks I'm playing, like Lee Sin, Zoe, Easy Draven, or sorry, Karma Easy. Like those decks are not forgiving, and one of the places that I went back and watched my matches was that like I would get to, like I said, turn 8, 9, 10, like the end game when things would get really complex, and then you know, sometimes I would make a mistake and it would cost me. And if you're trying to put in reps with these decks, like to play a game that goes all the way to that point and then like to try and figure that part out and then do that again and again and again to get that experience, like you're talking about a lot of time commitment. But that's what you have to do if you're going to bring like a control deck or a combo deck or a really complicated deck. You have to put in those reps. So yeah, those were the main takeaways for me, I think.
Good learning experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, you know, gonna start with all the different decks as the new season starts. I think that's a great lead into looking at these new cards we have. Speaking of hot takes, my current like two big decks that I want to try out are Poppy Thresh and No Champion Submersible with Bandle City. Those are the two crazy hot takes.
No Champion Bandle City.
No Champ Bandle City.
Sounds hot.
It's so you.
One.
Jesus Christ.
Is that a pursuit deck as well?
Not yet, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much obviously gonna try out like the Veigar Senna, and then like new Spooky Karma. I'm very excited about that. I'm gonna bring a lot of Spooky Karma stuff. Go hard at fast speed. Yes, you can put 2 go hards on the stack, and it'll for 0 mana, and it'll change into pack your bags on the stack.
With
go hard
level
fast
Senna.
That does sound like a good
with
time.
Senna. Yeah, because you go Senna on the board, and then if you have 2 go hards in hand, and you've already cast 2 go hards, so like, you know, one would be a go hard and one would be a pack your bags. You just go hard, okay, and the second go hard will turn into pack your bags.
Yeah, but it's also like mechanics we've never seen before in LOR, right? So it fundamentally changing a speed of a spell. Like it could be completely bonkers, or like just it's something else that we can play around with. But I feel like there's got to be something broken, or at least very, very enjoyable to play. Like go hard is the first thing that I think about, but like there's so many slow things that are probably super busted in fast speed, and maybe even worth building a whole deck around. Just a new design. Sure.
That's what that was the first one that popped into my mind.
It's a new design space never explored before in LOR, and I'm happy to see that every time there's like a new champions.
We do have a lot of champions still coming. Pinkos just pointed this out. Like a few still.
I'm not making promises. I'm just like looking.
That's
what
I'm interested in. Yeah. Poppy gave me the heebie-jeebies when I saw her.
Oh, she's
Poppy
so good.
Busted.
Poppy's insane.
I was like, she's very good, and then I read it was Grant that I didn't.
Excuse you? Yeah, it's Bannerman on a stick that I can activate multiple times. And I don't even need to do allegiance. Yeah, Poppy's insane. And like I'm so scared of like the worst time for me to ever play. I because I hopped on Runeterra, I've said this a million times. I hopped on Runeterra for like a few days at a time, or like a week at a time, in like different sets. I'd be like, oh, Bilgewater's out, let's try that. And I played for 6 days and then didn't play anymore. Oh, like this patch happened, and I would play for like 6 days, then I wouldn't play anymore. The worst time of all of those times was when Bannerman was the best deck. They just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 Bannerman, and you're like, okay, I lose. Like I can't contend with this. They're just big statted. It was when like the Badger was like a 4-1 and a 4-4.
Oh yeah,
that was
nasty.
And yeah, Poppy reminds me of that. Poppy gives me those vibes, and I'm very scared of that.
That is definitely a little frightening.
Mm-hmm.
Another cool interaction I'm really looking forward to seeing. I don't know if this works. Okay, this might not do what I want it to, but the new card that got spoiled today, Catalog of Regrets plus Tribeam.
Yes,
sounds so much fun.
Oh, does it come back already like still stacked?
I think so. I
believe it
hope
does,
so.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the thing is like, you see the card, and the first card you think of as like Darkness and Gohard, right? Like,
I'm pretty sure they fixed Tribeam with like the Mimic interaction, right?
oh,
Isn't that like the same thing?
where it goes back to 1.
Mm-hmm.
It does not say exact copy. That
there's
doesn't work.
just-
You don't know Darkodius. Shut
there's
up.
so much. There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I feel
I'm
like there's
really
like
excited.
there's copying stuff for free. Like,
Mhm.
oh, card
That's the
advantage.
thing about new
Card
cards. We're gonna
advantage.
have to test
Uh-huh.
check all of those new interactions just to see like if it's broken or shit.
Right. I will say I'm a
One of
little
the
bit.
two.
I'm sorry. I will say a little bit worried on the fact that I think the meta so far has been pretty fast. Like even Azir-Relia, Lulu Zed, whatever kind of aggro nonsense you have, and then we have Veigar, slow as heck, Senna, level 6, turn 6 at the minimum, and then Poppy's probably gonna increase the speed as well, or at least I perceive it to be. And so I'm a little bit worried that we're still gonna have a bunch of fast decks. We're gonna have Poppy to like really beat down some of the more like slower stuff as well, especially because it's Demacia, has rallies, it scales. It sounds like a nightmare for some of these slower decks that it seems fun and that we want to mess around with. But that's just a few observations going into the patch.
No, I'm totally with you. I think slow decks are so rough right now because like if you're playing a slow deck, it's like okay, well you have to be playing a slow deck that beats other things a lot, and also you have to be able to deal with spell shielded units, like spell shielded units with combat tricks. And I still think the Shurima package needs to be adjusted. It's too good.
Honestly, like I get that these cards are all a little busted, like Sivir, Ruin Runner, Merciless Hunter. Like they're clearly overstated, but I do also kind of feel like I've cracked the code on that one. Like I can take any deck from like Targon or Shadow Isles and go, I know how to beat Sivir with this deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard to do.
Yeah, but
No, but you have to try and beat the other things in the format too, though, right?
and it does make it a lot more difficult.
But all of the cards that I'm putting in to beat Sivir, they're not like they're bad cards. It's like I have Vile Feast, I have Withering Wail, I have Vengeance. I mean, playing 3 Vengeance is a little awkward, but it's not like it's ever going to be dead. Unless I'm playing against Anivia, and fuck Anivia.
Yeah, I like the Shurima package is just, it's far and away the best thing to do in the game. Like once you just take like a clump of things or a thing and you just put it in anything and it auto makes it better, it's time for that to change. Like that's how Pale Cascade was. Pale Cascade was too good. It was an auto include in anything and it was auto better. You'd splash it just for Pale Cascade. And it needed to be changed. Like RIP Targon, but it needed to be changed. And in Shurima's that way. Like Merciless Hunter is just the best card in the game, and it has been since it was released. It just needs like.
I still think it is. Like
Yeah, no, I still
close.
think it's the best card. Just a teeny bit of an adjustment. Not a lot. Just like just make Merciless Hunter a 4/2. Take off Fearsome. Take off 1 point of attack from Ruin Runner, and we're done. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. But you should not have the actual best card in every single mana slot from like 1 to 5. Okay, maybe you don't have 2. Rockhopper's not that good. But like you have the best 1 drop, you have the best 3 drop, the best 4 drop, and the best 5 drop. All in the same region. And they all
as long
play
as you're
together.
as long as you're an attacking deck.
Yeah, as long as you're attacking deck.
Those
Yeah.
bets. But yes, I for sure agree. But I want to jump also on the fucking Nivea sentiment that what I just said, and get your guys' take on Minimorph, because I might have some bit of a hot take on
Yes.
I have a take on Minimorph.
I'm
Okay.
Minimorph and Aloof Travelers, and Nivea and Lee Sin can eat my dust. I'm sorry, I'm done with those cards.
I don't mind that card. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind it. Like the card's very, very powerful. And I think people are getting. I think there's a disconnect. I think people are getting confused. They're mixing up very, very powerful and like an omnipresent powerful card. Like Minimorph is like an incredibly, incredibly powerful effect that you do not want to play in very many decks. But some of them you do. It's like Hush, right? Like some of them you do, and it's gonna be so goddamn good in these matchups where you need it. But like you're not just gonna slam 3 in your Bandle City decks. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm the hardcore late game control player, and I don't think I'm putting 3 of these in my decks. So I think this is a really good card. I think you're probably going to play 1 or 2, and I think you're not probably going to play 0 in a lot of the Bandle City decks. I think it's probably not worth getting super up in arms about. It's just good that we're finally allowed to interact with a lot of the other late game win conditions that we couldn't before.
Yeah, now get rid of Spell Shield. No, I totally agree. I think like 2, a lot of the later game decks, if there are any later game Bandle City decks, would absolutely love to run 2 of these. Stops Lee, stops Anivia, like you guys are pointing out, and it's just a nice clean answer. And answers in Runeterra historically have been pretty lacking, which is fine. That's how the game's supposed to be played with spell mana. If all of a sudden spells were too good, we'd just all be running like Spooky Karma or something, right?
We'd just all be
Never
passing
mind.
on 1
I take it back. Let's do that.
Casting 6 mana on 3.
No.
Turn 3 Remembrance.
Turn 3 Remembrance. Yep. But yeah, this is not like an auto include slam dunk 3 of. And I saw that sentiment a lot on like Twitter and Reddit where people are like, it's not even that good. It's not good against aggro. And it's like, yeah, that's not the point, right? Like, neither is a lot of cards I put in my decks, right? Like, Harsh Winds isn't very good against discard aggro either, but like, I'm still going to play it. Or something like that, right? Deny. So yeah, I think it's very powerful. I'm definitely with What Am I think we're right on the same page there.
What I think is going to happen if the card, like, let's just put the most extreme Twitter sentiment that I've seen is like, okay, no, Anivia and Lee Sin are now dead. This card exists, and there's nothing you can actually do to beat it that well. Like, even Spell Shield.
Yeah.
And what I think would happen, first off, Bandle City is only 1 color, right? So Lee Sin will farm the rest, but like, say it loses to that. And now Bandle City is like a percentage of the metagame. If it's actually very good and it shuns Lee Sin out of the metagame, it means Bandle City is played more and more, like kind of Ionia is played right now, so like a 20% play rate or something. And what's going to happen in the meta is going to adjust, and a Minimorph is now just going to be a shit card. And what's going to happen to the Bandle City decks, if it's not broken, like if Bandle City is broken, then it's going to be nerfed and adjusted. But what's going to happen is now Minimorph is going to be shit. Like, everybody's going to play deck where, like, if you're spending 6 mana to Minimorph me, I'm probably winning the game. And then the Bandle City decks are going to start cutting Minimorph. They're going to play 1, they're going to play 0. And then Lee Sin now is going to be good against Bandle City or things like that. So I'm not scared of those type of cards, especially since they cost so much mana. But I think the card that it scares me the most is a 3 mana one. Like, set your power and toughness to 1/6.
Oh, that card's so good.
I think that card is way more
so
like,
good.
You could play 3 of that card and not be punished if you build your deck around that.
It's Twin Disciplines, but like better.
For one more mana.
Better.
It's like Hush and Twin Disciplines had a baby. Because it's like, if it's a protection spell for your unit, granted you like lose the unit for that turn, kind of, right? But like, or you just 1/6 your opponent's whatever. Like sick Lee, bro.
You can use it on your opponent's unit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. On your
That's
own and
insane.
on your opponent's.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's nuts.
What?
It removes things like if your things is damage, it's not damage anymore because it got set to
Hey,
1/6.
that's nonsense.
So like you counter flocks and you counter like other things, and you can now attack with like full attack, and the punish is not too crazy. You can just like swap power and toughness to the big guy blocks or whatever. It's just super versatile as a 3 mana card, where Minimorph is insanely good against Lee Sin, but as a Lee Sin player, I'm kind of not scared of it. And speaking of Aloof Traveler, I'm playing Pod. It's fine. It's fine. Copium.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I'll
if
be
you
okay.
if you hit
I'll
my
keep-
Lee, like that's unfortunate, I guess. But like, is Aloof Traveler that good? It's pretty good, but like, what is it, like a 3/4 for 4?
I think Aloof
Yeah.
Traveler is one of the best cards in the set.
3/4 for 4 is a pretty solid stat line.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I looked at this card and I went, this is my favorite Targon card, and they put it in 2 different regions. Real
Targon
talk.
can't have hand this card.
No, for not as in it's actually a Targon card.
Yeah.
But real talk, this is Traveler. Like,
Yeah.
anybody who's ever like gone Solari Priestess into Traveler, and the Traveler just shuts down all the little units, and I get this card advantage. This card is +1 card advantage, will fuck with your opponent, and has a solid body. I am really hyped about that
It's
one.
okay.
Right.
So it's both draw 1, opponent discards highest cost dude.
Yeah.
No, that is really good.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't discard yourself?
No.
No, you don't discard.
No.
Only they
Yeah.
What?
For some reason, I thought it was like a you loot and they discard
No.
their highest, but it's just
Mm-mm.
straight card advantage.
Yeah.
Apparently. Okay, no, that's really
Mhm.
scary.
Okay, that's okay.
That's really insane.
Yeah, like his
I don't like that card.
just had a bunch of 4-mana 3/3s that draw a card, right? We have Bjerg, we
Mhm.
have
Those are all really
the,
good. But 3/4
what's
is
his
so much
face? Yeah.
bigger than a 3/3.
he
Like,
blocks
so
your
much
3/4
bigger.
mana 3/3s.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of my Vandal City decks start with 3 of this card. I'm not lying.
That's
Yeah,
Wow.
of
Vandal,
course.
Vandal
Card's
City
nuts.
seems like the god damn it region.
I think that's a
All
little bit
their cards are just
understatement.
like god damn it.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but I think like where a lot of contention also comes from is just it sounds unfun to play against, right? If you're playing it and you just like drop aloof on 4 and you win the game, you're like haha. But your opponent probably logs off for the day or maybe the week. And I think like there's similar sentiment, even though like a card like Mini Morph isn't like that great, right? It reminds me of like what Hush was when you try to play like similar strategies.
Two mana Hush or something.
Yeah, like Hush 2 mana, or it was probably 2 mana Hush, but like it just like pushed out certain strategies out of the game, right? Sort of. It's oppressive.
That
in
was also
nature.
combined with the fact that Targon was the best
Right,
counter, so
right.
you couple
And-
that with that super high play rate.
Yeah, and I don't think Bandle City is like as strong as like that sort of Targon, which is at least a good sign, because it won't be this. Well, I don't know. I'm just speculating, right? Which will at least be better in the sense that you won't just see a ton of it all the time. Hopefully, I might come back to regret those words, but you know, there's Trick, which seems unfun. There's the discard cards, which seems unfun, and then there's Mini Morph, right? Which, you know, I can just not play a certain deck, but I think generally that's also what an unfun strategy sounds like.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like Bandle Cities, some of the mechanics are a little worrisome. Like it is supposed to interfere with the opponent. That seems like the whole theme. Is like it interferes with your opponent, not on the board.
Right.
Like in the
And
hand.
Kev would
basically
know
its
this
color
because
identity.
from Hearthstone they rotated Dirty Rat because that kind of card just wasn't healthy to be in Standard, and that just feels like it feels weird when now that they just crammed all that into one region, and I'm a little bit worried. But you know, maybe that just like hyperpolarizes the meta where you just run super fast cards and your aloof traveler 3 mana 3/4 still too slow, which I don't know, could be a possibility. So I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. If we're ready to move on from this, I have one more big topic I want to talk about.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The community, a lot of the community, has been calling for Eye of the Dragon nerfs. How do we feel about this?
I didn't realize that Nick Makes Plays was also a lot of the community.
He is, yeah.
He is the voice.
Impressive.
Yep.
At least it's
Impressive.
consistent. He's been calling for that
He's
card's nerf for
forever.
like a
Mhm.
couple.
Yeah, and Lee.
Oh yeah.
That man hates Lee more than I've hated anything in my life, I think. I'll give
I don't know.
my own opinion
I've seen-
really quick. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've seen you play Aurelia Azir, so like,
No, that's not true. I absolutely hated Aurelia Azir. But like, Eye of the Dragon is a very powerful card, like on par with like Merciless Hunter. I think in the decks that it's meant to be in, like Eye of the Dragon and Lee is like just as powerful, if not more, than Merciless Hunter in like a random deck, right? But I think the big difference is that you have to like build your deck a certain way for Eye of the Dragon to work, and then it has a cost every turn. Like, you have to play not exactly how you want to play to continuously trigger Eye of the Dragon. Whereas, so it has like a deck building restriction, and it asks a cost in game. Whereas a card like Merciless Hunter, that I do think deserves like a bit of a nerf, is just always insane no matter what. It doesn't matter what you're doing on board. It doesn't matter what your deck does. You just play through Merciless Hunter, and your deck's probably better because of it. So I think Eye's fine. Is it really, really good? Yeah, but like, that's okay. Every deck's not jamming 3i.
It's okay to have good card. I don't have much to add there because I'm basically exactly on par with what you said. Where Eye is a very good card. What I think, if it gets nerfed, I think you remove anything from that card, and it's now just not good anymore.
Yeah, even
if
like
you
the
just
attune, you think?
even if you just remove the tune, if you
Mhm.
put it to 1/2, Dragon Link to 1/1, I think you make just a little change to it, and it's just like those kind of strategies now just have to adapt and do something else. And the fact that it's a cost every turn, it's a deck building cost, and it's a play pattern that's super interactable. Like people just like you make a big board of Dragonlings, and now they play TF, and they try to like, there's ways to interact with it, and I think it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I'll actually come down on the opposite side of this one. I think love you both, but I think you two are a little biased.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love the card. Yeah, it's one of my favorite
Yes.
cards.
Our biggest,
My favorite
am
follower in the
biased.
game.
Players. I don't think the card deserves as big a nerf as everybody who's screaming for it to die is saying. Like, I don't want to see the card go to 3 mana. I don't want to see Dragonling be a 1/1. I think that the card probably is a little bit overtuned right now. I think probably the best fix for Eye is probably just taking the attune off, and I think it will still be a stupid powerful card and be able to beat up the aggro decks, and there will actually be some cost associated with still playing the card.
I think I think Eye facilitates a lot of strategies though that otherwise cannot be played. And if you remove a tune, you remove those strategies. Like if you're gonna nerf Eye, removing a tune's the best way to do it without some sort of compensation buff. 100% wholeheartedly agree.
Then you just don't play that card in S.
But I just don't play it anymore.
That card is not played in that deck anymore. Maybe you still play it in Lee Sin, and that's another thing, and it's still okay against aggro. But now you run into things where you give from beyond into an Eye, they just kill it, and where before you could have like a Notify up or something. Now it's just dead, and I think you lose the game on that very turn. Like you killed your Eye, you're dead, and I don't know, it feels extreme a little bit. And you still play it in Lee Sin, but now you just cut it from S Karma. Maybe S Karma is not even a good deck anymore. And then what other decks is actually playing Higher the Dragon at the moment?
S Karma already doesn't play it a lot of the time.
There are plenty of as Karma lists. There are plenty of high ranking, and like I was definitely making fun of it because I think the best as Karma list probably still does have Eye right now. But there are plenty of as Karma lists that are just taking it out.
I think Nauk passed top 32 without it.
Yeah.
And he had like 700 something LP, and he played mostly as Karma, I believe. Oh, as Karma and like Sivir decks, but yeah.
I think specifically the issue is because of how powerful it is when it takes over the game, the ability to run Eye and Gifts is a problem.
Okay.
And I think it's not
that's a one deck problem. It's a one deck problem right now. I still think it's a problem.
Lee's like 50% win rate.
Okay, so first of all, I don't think it's a one deck problem. I have played plenty of different Targon Ionia decks that go, I'm just going to play 6 Eye of the Dragon and not worry about anything anymore.
I'm gonna pretend I haven't.
Yeah. And I do think it's a little bit of a problem. I think if a deck wants to be good into both aggro and the aggressive mid-range decks, it should have to commit more than 6 cards than just be playing spells. I think that is probably a little too much power to give to that card.
I mean, it's really good, and it does take over certain matchups. It's very strong. It's removable. It's very removable. But like, if I build my entire deck around a follower, I deserve to get rewarded for it. If it's a build around type card like Eye, right? Like, it's okay for it to be
your entire deck around the follower, though. That's the thing. Like,
well, the deck's all spells, Lees, and then Eye, right? Like, that's it. That's the whole deck.
I built Lee with like 100% Eye in mind, right? Because
the whole deck has Eye in mind. Yeah.
Like I was like Mentor, Sparklefly, Goats, and it was like way different play patterns and way different like turns. Like outside of like exactly the recent turns, like every turn's I think just different than it is right now, and I would argue that you built your deck with Eye in mind almost more than Lee Sin in mind.
All right, let's grab opinions from the two Jasons because we've been arguing about it.
We're just back and forth. It's me and Magin killing up on you.
We're just like, no, and you're like, yeah, and we're just gonna do this over again.
Jason, what do you think?
It's a good question. I don't actually play the Eye that much. I don't actually play Lee that much, so I don't really have I don't really have that much to say. I will say it's very annoying when your opponent just has double eye, even like triple eye, or even single eye sometimes, and it's just very hard for you to even like make a good attack. I think, and this could like just totally like destroy eye as well, but I don't really know. I think a little like really creative, or like a possible change that you could make to eye is instead of just spawning the Dragonling on turn, you could add it to your hand instead, and then you'd have to take an action to play it out. And you know that might just
If it was,
make it
would
terrible
you make a
because
Dragonling like a
now you
0
can't
mana?
open attack.
Yeah,
Like,
it
yeah,
has
like
to be
okay,
0
'cause
could be
mana.
like
yeah.
zero mana fleeting, whatever, right?
But
You
now
have
you
to
get
play it
open
that
attack.
turn.
You get open attack by aggro is what's gonna
Right.
happen. Yeah.
And you know it
So
makes your
creative
aggro matchups
way.
a lot worse. But it may, but it helps. Or there's like a different like strategy to play into it, right? Like okay, they have eye on board. I should set up good open attacks. Whereas right now it's like okay, even if I start my turn, if I develop more, my attack doesn't even become better. Or I try to open attack and then like do something else, and then I still feel really bad. And I think like the matchups where I feels the worst is those matchups where you're put in into that position where you can't open attack because they have dragonlings, and your development doesn't make it any better, right? And so, and it's kind of rough, right? Eye's not like bad for everybody. It doesn't. It discriminates a little bit in its good and bad matchups, and I can see where the frustration comes from, but I don't know if that's like, do you nerf it because of that? Like Eye's not like that highly played, and it fits very few decks, so I don't even think I gave an opinion, but
That's
I
fine.
don't really have one honestly.
It's fine.
Yeah, I got a hot take. So I actually really love the deck. I played it a bunch. It's one of my favorite decks, maybe like my favorite deck even at the moment. And I think it probably needs to go for a while. It's just been, yeah, I know. Judas? And this is why. Hear me out.
To Jason.
The 50% win rate is bullshit. All right, we all know that. It's 50% if you just give it to like 1,000 people and tell them all to play it. But if you give it to people that are very good with it and you let them to ban one of their opponent's decks, you're just gonna slam people. I'd be curious to see what the win rate was from like a lot of players on the deck, like anyone, you know, especially if you. It's like it's also become this thing where it's like the haves and the have-nots. It's like a very difficult deck to pilot, but if you have put in the reps, you reap the rewards super hard. And like, I'm curious, like, Bay, Kever, like, what do you know what your win percentage was in seasonals with it?
I think I may have lost like 3 to 4 games of Lee in all the seasonals I've played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about this. Like, I've skipped a seasonal. The last one I didn't play, but
Long story short, you smashed.
Yeah.
sure.
Frickin' smash.
Lisa-
You
Lisa
smashed.
but
You've always smashed.
back
You will
more
always
often than not.
smash.
It does get banned a lot.
Because it gets banned a lot, otherwise it smashes. Like, and it's been too long now. It's been too many seasons of it smashing. So just like things like Fiora Shen, it wasn't super dominant, but it was always there and it was always doing well. And eventually it was like, okay, you know what? Let's have some time without you. Bring it back again later. And I feel to me, as much as I love the deck, it's become kind of toxic like that, and it's had its time. You know, it's not like, oh, it's, you know, it's super busted for one season. Nah, it's been kicking butt like since we started playing the game. Basically, those of us that started around seasonals, it's just always been good. Basically, you know, for like a brief period, it got pushed out, but it's almost always been good. This season, it was probably the best deck to bring outside of maybe like Sivir. Even then, debatable. So yeah, unfortunately, I think it's time that it needs to go back shelf for a little bit. I don't know what the change needs to be.
Would the change
I wouldn't mind
by
if,
chance be a 6 mana burst spell that turns something into a 3/3?
No. I think it's a joke. I think it's an absolute joke.
That's a
I
take
dare
that
I
can
dare
agree
people to let us have Lee Sin Zilly for another seasons. I double dog dare them. I will predict right now what's going to happen. It's going to be this conversation again in 2 months. So no, what I would like to see though, I do like Lee Sin, and like Action Lee Sin was a deck that like was
cool.
not a total joke. So in that sense, I do think that maybe I needs to go because that's what props up the Ionia version so much. So maybe it needs to switch over to being something else, or maybe just Lee needs to take a backseat for a while, just to let some other stuff see the light of day.
So what I'm hearing is it's time to make a deal, right? We took Fiora, we put her on timeout for a little while. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take Merciless Hunter and they're gonna go to the timeout corner with Fiora and Aphelios. That's what I'm hearing.
Can we bring Aphelios back? I'll give you Eye of the Dragon if you give me Aphelios back.
Yeah, it's not that deal with Aphelios.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Put him in.
I think we can bring Aphelios back. Frankly,
I think so too.
I'd like to see Aphelios come back.
The only deck I think had a higher skill cap than Lee Sin was the Aphelios decks. Like the Aphelios decks.
You could argue TF is in its.
No, that's true. TF is at a very. No, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe just like a play style in general. Then, I think Aphelios very much rewarded people who had like a strong game plan in mind and like a lot of experience, because it wasn't just like Aphelios the card. It was like the Invoke Targon shell. Like, yeah, you had answers to everything, but like, what am I knows? Like, if you're super practiced at Targon and the Invoke strategies, it really pays off. And if you're not, then you're gonna kind of struggle with it. You're gonna make like some not so right choices, and the Priestess, the thing that you picked off Priestess 6 turns ago, just lost you the game because you took Common instead of Meteor Shower, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to see Aphelios come back. I did play a super fun Zoe Aphelios deck that Thomas Zamo top 32'd with. My God, that deck's a good time.
That deck is fire.
Yeah,
I played a couple other games after you left yesterday, imagine. It's very, very fun.
It's very fun.
It deals with our Zoe from the lineup.
Yeah.
I think you can bring back Aphelios. You can arguably even bring back full power Aphelios as long as you do two things. You leave Temple nerfed, and you fix the box to puss interaction.
Oh, leave Temple nerfed for sure. That card is...
No, Temple was insane.
Yeah.
I think those are the two things you have to do if you want to even talk about bringing Aphelios back from the Riot's timeout.
You can fix Bucks to Puss. We have like Boom Baboons and things now. Another 2-drops to abuse it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Before we go, I need help. Like, Riot forces us to change. Well, it does not forces us, but I've been saying that like the last season, top 32. I think we've said that a couple times, but I think it's so much unnecessary stress that now we can change our lineup between now and top 32.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ!
It's crazy. Like now my week is super cramped because I'm like, okay, like I did X amount of testing for seasonal into open rounds, and now like it's still a level game, and I know my first round opponent. He knows he's playing me, and like I'm predictable in a way. He might be predictable in another way, and it's super stressful. So please tell me what to do. Like what do you expect?
Make it one weekend.
I want to make it one weekend, and I don't want you to let me change my deck.
Now that we have to change deck, what is gonna do well in the top 32 is my question.
Sivir Demacia, Draven Ezreal, Zoe Lee Sin.
No. It's definitely going to be... What were the crazy decks that Duckling brought last time? The
TF
combo?
Foundry, Cythria Matron.
Yeah, Foundry and Cythria.
Cythria Matron, baby.
Cythria
Don't sleep on it.
I think Draven Ezreal is just the best, like probably just the best 50-50 deck because it beats the other 50-50 decks. And that's like a huge point. And then except Zoe Vi, which one whole person played and didn't quite make it to top 32.
Stick the dagger.
Harsh dagger. Too soon. Too soon.
We already said we think Zoe Lee is like the second best like tournament pick for the format right now.
I think it's the best open round pick.
I do think it's the best open round pick. I think top 32 is different.
But now you tell me my guy like plays TK Raka as Irelia and like Zoe like Ludu Zed or something, and he's not getting punished by all the open round shenanigans. So like, I feel weird. I feel super weird about what to do. Like, I feel like I should have a Sivir Demacia deck, but like then what? And
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like I'm the same way because like you and I, if you'd put like people on bringing a deck, you'd pick you and I to pick Lee, right? Like that's just everyone's gonna expect that. Yeah. There is a non-zero chance I just don't bring Lee. I just like full change it, and it's probably higher than people think.
I think actually the best 3 decks are probably Azir Aurelia, Teemo Ezreal, and Lulu Zed.
Teemo Ezreal is not very good. Lulu Zed, I think, is underrated.
Yes.
I think Teemo Ezreal does like fine into Sivir decks now. I've seen it just like beat them.
It does really well into the new Demacia version. The reason you couldn't play it was because it got bodied by the Ionia version. But against the Demacia version, it actually does really well.
I've seen it beat the Ionia version.
I have played that matchup and found that if I just pre-buff my Sivir to get around Brittle Steel, it gets a lot easier. Like without like Brittle Steel, if they don't have like Brittle or like Troll Chant to like pop Spell Shield, they're just like, damn.
They're usually gonna have a Spell Shield pop. I don't think that's the problem with their deck.
Yeah. It's just like the rest of it, right? Yeah, and then like you have pump spell. Like the big problem that Teemo Ez struggles with against some decks is like the pump spells after the freezes. You know,
so
like
if
that
you were, so if you were in my situation, what am I? You would hit up MTalk and ask for some Teemo Ez coaching.
I mean,
Aphelios Infinite and Cythria.
or just me. Like me and MTalk are both like the 2 people who have played Teemo Ez the most. Like I can hang out and scrim Teemo Ez with you.
And Duckling, yeah.
Interesting.
I agree. I think Lulu Zed is probably going to be very strong. I don't know who's going to bring it. I don't know how many is going to get brought. But
it does
I feel
struggle pretty hard against Ezdraven, TF Swain, Plunder, and Karma.
It beats everything else.
But it beats everything else. Yeah.
Those specific deck were like specifically Ezdraven and like Plunder.
Yeah.
Like, it's scary.
I mean, like now's the time that people just get polarizing, right? There's going to be people that target Lee. There's gonna be a few people that bring their Lulu Zed. There's gonna be a few people on like the Ezdraven stuff, and then
some triple aggro.
There's gonna be a bit of triple aggro. Not gonna name any names, but someone might bring it.
There's 3 people that was on triple aggro. Is that number gonna stay the same? Shrink or go higher?
I think it's gonna stay. Well, okay. Define aggro. Like traditional aggro.
Triple aggro. There was 3 people in the seasonal top 32 that Americans that are triple aggro. I think that they are all of the same lineup, which is Pirates, Lulu Zed, and Discard.
Yeah.
There might be other aggro lineup, but this is the triple aggro lineup.
I think there's gonna be 4. I think there's gonna be 4, and 2 of them will be new. So one person's gonna switch off it. 2 people are gonna switch into it.
Can we be those people?
That's a great question.
That's an important question.
Leave it in the air.
That is the real question. That is the one thing though. Like the aggro lineup is like Discard, Pirates, Zed, Lulu. Right? That's like the most balanced aggro lineup. But I just like if you're playing like one kind of deck like Zoe Lee, you just ban Zed, Lulu, and you're just like sick. Thanks. Like I beat Pirates and Discard's like fine. It's not like a great matchup, but it's like fine. But like, and that's like the most balanced aggro lineup, right? It's still very good, very aggressive, beats a lot of things. But like, if you want to like stomp these decks, you gotta get more polarized. You go Lulu Zed, Azir Aurelia, and whatever else we talked about, discard aggro or something, and then like TK Raka, right? And then all of a sudden, like yes, you destroy Lee Sin and like some other decks, but like you die to a lot of stuff, right? Like any triple aggro lineup destroys you, and the triple mid range lineup destroy you. So it's some give and take. But yeah, there's a long history of people getting into top 32 and then getting real polarizing. That's when Deep comes out. That's when Frezreal comes out, right? Although I want to play Deep so bad.
Cythria combo.
Cythria combo, yeah. I love Deep. That deck rocks.
I think
we're about to wrap it up. Thanks for coming in. All right, guys. Anything else? Any closing statements really quick?
Good luck, boys.
Thanks. Oh, it's in 2 days.
Yeah, it's in 2 days.
Wait, what the fuck?
I need to look it up like let's see tomorrow. Like tomorrow, I need to be decided on what I'm gonna play.
Tomorrow we'll sit on it. And we'll just like we'll get on Discord and we'll be like, do you know what you're playing?
You guys talking about it's not in 2 days. It's like in like 9 days or something, right?
No, that's when Heneke's gonna start winning worlds.
Oh, you're not talking about Worlds. You guys are talking about Worlds. I thought you were talking about Worlds.
No, talking about
you're talking about seasonals. Right, Worlds is like 9 days away. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, there's gonna be a new expansion. We don't care about that. It's fine.
I can't worry about that yet. All right, guys. Thanks for coming in, everybody.
Peace out.
See you guys later.
Have a good one.